girl says it's gonna storm. Power lines likely to come down. Take a nap with me. Let the world go round.
They buried me. Not literally, although at some points it felt like they were working toward that too. But figuratively, they buried me under debt, fraud, isolation, threats, and lies. They piled it so high that from the outside you couldn't see me, Grace, anymore. You could only see the wreckage. But here's the thing about being buried. The only way out is to dig. So I dug. With reports and phone calls and legal filings, I dug. With flour and butter and sugar, I dug. With a prompt engineering certification and an AI toolkit, I dug. And as I dug, I found something I wasn't expecting. The truth. About who had done this to me. And that truth was worse than the theft itself. I'm Grace Mangum, and this is the episode where I start fighting back. We've spent 11 episodes in the dark. Today, we start switching on lights. This episode is called Digging Out. And it covers the period when I stopped being purely reactive and started being proactive. I started filing reports. I started investigating. I started following the threads of evidence that I'd been collecting, consciously and unconsciously, for years. And those threads led me to places I desperately didn't want them to go. Friends first, then family. The people who stole my identity, they weren't strangers in a dark room. They were people who sat across from me at dinner tables. People who knew my birthday, my mother's maiden name, and where I kept my spare key. People who hugged me and said they loved me and then went home and dismantled my life. We're also going to talk about baking as healing, AI as a weapon for good, and the bureaucratic marathon of filing the reports that will eventually hold these people accountable. So let me start by telling you about the bricks in the yard. Not metaphorical bricks, actual bricks in the yard of the property in Pennsylvania. I was out there one day trying to clear some space, trying to make this new location feel less temporary and more like somewhere I might actually survive. And I found bricks, hidden, stashed, out of place. And something about those bricks, something about the wrongness of them, the out-of-placeness, triggered a cascade of connections in my brain. The way the building had been managed, the way my neighbors had disappeared, the way my finances had been manipulated, the way the husk had filtered information, the way that she had orchestrated my social life, the way my family had gone silent. Bricks that didn't belong, like clues that had been hiding in plain sight for years. I started pulling threads, and unlike the previous years where every thread seemed to lead to a wall, these threads led to people, specific people, with names and faces and histories that were intertwined with mine. Friends first. The best friend, quote unquote, from episode 2, the bring and ditch specialist, she was in it, deep. Not just a bad friend, a participant, someone who had actively, knowingly contributed to the theft of my identity by gathering information, managing perceptions, and providing cover. And then, family. I need to pause here because this is the hardest part, not the theft, not the financial ruin, not the death threat even. This. The discovery that my own family, people who share my blood, my history, and some who share my last name, were involved. I'm not going to name them, not yet. Possibly not ever on this podcast. But I need you to understand what this feels like. Imagine you've been in a burning building. You've been fighting through smoke and flames for years. And finally, you get close enough to see who lit the match. And it's the people who were supposed to be your fire department. Family members and a former close friend. That's what I said in episode 1. And now in episode 12, I'm telling you what it felt like to confirm it. It felt like dying. Not my body, but my faith. My faith in love, in loyalty, in the basic human contract that says we protect each other. But I didn't die. Nope, I got angry. And then I got organized. I started filing reports, police reports, FTC reports, IRS identity theft affidavits, state attorney general complaints, FBI IC3 filings, every report I'd been advised to file over the months that I'd been too overwhelmed, too exhausted, or too busy being robbed to file. I filed them all. And I scraped together every cent I had because fighting identity theft costs money. Lawyers cost money. Certified mail costs money. Making copies, making printouts, all of it costs money. Credit monitoring costs money. Replacement documents cost money. The cruelest irony of identity theft is that for recovering from it requires financial resources that the theft itself has depleted. Meanwhile, because the theft didn't stop while I was recovering from it, there was additional spoofing, more cramming, mail fraud, actual physical mail being intercepted or redirected. The attackers weren't retreating. They were digging in, which meant I had to dig harder. And then there was baking. You've heard me mention baking in every episode, but during this time, baking went from a coping mechanism to a mission. I wasn't just baking for myself anymore. I was baking for others. I was distributing baked goods to neighbors, to people at the counseling center, to anyone who crossed my path. Not because I was trying to win friends or build a personal brand, but because in a world where everything had been taken from me, giving things away was the most powerful thing I could do. Every loaf of bread, every batch of cookies or cupcakes or cobblers, every muffin I handed to a stranger was a middle finger to the people who tried to reduce me to nothing. You took my identity? Fine. But you can't take my generosity. You can't take my ability to nourish people. And you can't take the look on someone's face when you hand them a warm slice of chocolate banana bread. And I got certified in prompt engineering. Because if artificial intelligence had been used to proliferate my identity theft, and it had, then I was going to learn to use AI myself. Not to steal, not to deceive, but to research, to investigate, to document, and to build. I learned to use the same tools that had been turned against me, and I turned them toward recovery. That felt good. That felt like power. Okay. So if you are a victim of identity theft and you've been putting off the paperwork because it feels overwhelming, I get it. I was you. But here's your Blitz checklist. And do these in this particular and specific order. Number 1, identitytheft.gov. The link is on my YouTube channel and on my Substack. This is your starting point. It creates a personalized recovery plan and it generates an official FTC identity theft report. This report is legally powerful. It gives you rights under the Fair Credit Reporting Act. Number 2, police report. File one. Even if the cops feel dismissive or are dismissive, you need the report number. You don't need their enthusiasm. Number 3, credit bureaus. Place fraud alerts and credit credit freezes with all 3, with Equifax, with Experian, with TransUnion. These are different things. Fraud alerts tell creditors to verify your identity before opening accounts. Freezes block new accounts entirely. Number 4, IRS Form 14039. That's IRS Form 14039, the Identity Theft Affidavit. File this, and it will flag your tax account. Number 5, Social Security Administration. File a report at oig.ssa.gov if your Social Security number is being misused. Number 6, ic3.gov. That's the FBI's Internet Crime Complaint Center. This is especially important if artificial intelligence, digital tools, or interstate activity is involved. Number 7, your state attorney general. File a complaint with your state attorney general's office. They have consumer protection divisions that can investigate. Number 8, contact every financial institution where you have accounts. Place fraud alerts. Request new account numbers. Change all of your passwords and any PINs that you might have set up on those accounts. And yes, I know this is a lot. It took me weeks. But each filing is a brick in your wall of recovery. And unlike the bricks in my yard that someone else put there, these bricks are yours. You're building your defense. Okay, well, this is also the episode where baking gets its own spotlight, because in this period of my life, baking wasn't just a segment. It was a survival strategy. I made chocolate banana bread, I made cupcakes, I made muffins, I made bread pudding. I made things I'd never made before and things I'd made 100 times, and I gave them all away. All of them. There's a phrase I love. Hurt people hurt people. It's true. But there's a corollary that doesn't get said enough. Healing people feed people. And when you're healing, you want to nourish. You want to give what was taken from you. You want to prove that the cruelty directed at you hasn't made you cruel. Today I'm giving you the recipe that started the distribution kitchen, the thing I baked in volume and handed out to everyone within arm's reach. And that was my, what I'm calling Grace's famous chocolate banana bread. The recipe you can find on my Substack account. It's nice and chocolatey. It makes 2 loaves, so there's one for you, one you can give away. And this was the recipe that helped me start to rebuild community. And not because it's the best chocolate banana bread in the world, although it might be, who knows, but because every loaf I gave away was a conversation, a connection, a reminder that I'm still here, I'm still kind, and I make a damn good bread. Today was the turning point. I discovered who was responsible, friends, and family. I filed every report in the book. I scraped together resources and started building my legal case. I got certified in the same AI tools used against me, and I baked a lot. So your action items is number 1. If you're a victim, start the Report Blitz, identitytheft.gov first, then work down the list. The show notes will be available on the Substack, so if you need that list, you'll have it available for you as well. Number 2, learn the tools. If technology was used against you, learn it yourself. Knowledge is power, especially digital knowledge. Number 3, give something away. Baked goods, time, a kind word. Generosity is the antidote to victimhood. In the next episode, which I've entitled There's a Light at the End of the Tunnel, but it just might be New Jersey, we're going to the IAB, that's the Internal Affairs Bureau, the FBI. We're filing more reports, we're getting counseling, running out of money, working at a Christmas shop. I've always had a soft spot for penguins. And dealing with street assaults. Plus, fastnuts, cupcakes, chocolate banana bread, and more muffins, because the baking never stops. Share this episode with someone who needs to start digging out. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. Post a comment. It's always good to hear feedback. Like I said, the show notes will have every resource from the Report Blitz plus that chocolate banana bread recipe, and that'll be available on my Substack. I'm Grace Mangum. Everyone wants to be me, but I'm taking myself back. One report, one recipe, one act of defiance at a time. See you next time.